I don't have anything against Odell Beckham Jr. I got a lot of love for him. He's a great, great talent. He's a decent dude as well. But let's be clear, you can't condone what he did. And the reason why you can't condone what he did is because the veracity of his comments are irrelevant. Everybody could see what's wrong with the New York Giants. And I will say that I said this I think it was Friday when we first learned of his comments. Give him credit because he didn't name names. So there is a distinction there where he didn't name names and was pointing specific guys out. But let's not sit here and act like he deserves applause for what he said. He was wrong to say what he said. It's no question about it. And this is the biggest reason why, Max, and I respond directly to what you said. What if dudes decided to tell the truth about Odell?
Ooh.
How do we know what that would amount to? What I'm saying to you is this. Be careful trust me, be careful when you're all about honesty and openness and veracity when talking about people you deem to be the problem as opposed to yourself, because you never know when those tables can turn.
On the field?
No.
On the field. That's all he's talking about.
Well, you can say that, but...
While limited to on the field.
Wait a minute. But, there are things that happened on the sidelines and things of that nature. You could have guys that could talk about what he does in the locker room. You could have guys that could talk about what he does at practice and beyond and how a distraction it may be. You could have had guys that were... Just imagine for a second if guys were willing to speak out when he was in pursuit of his money. Imagine what kind of deterrent that could have potentially been for Odell Beckham Jr. They never did it. And so you got to look at it from the standpoint that although he may have been truthful, it was unnecessarily so, and to some degree a bit disingenuous, because you pointing the fingers at others at a time where after you got your money, and there's very little that could be pointed in your direction, negating the fact that when there was a lot that could be pointed to your direction, there was a whole bunch of people that never said a damn word about you.
Well,
if I may,
yeah.
so this, by the way, this is why you should sit there and not there, right? Because we did this on Friday, and I didn't know you thought any of that. We disagreed on Friday, and we did for these reasons. What we remember this argument, is it offensive if it's true? Remember that? Is it offensive if it's true? Even if Odell is right, you said the great word veracity. If all of it is true, what he's saying about Eli and the offense, does that give him license to say it? No. And does it make it good leadership if it's true? Hell no. That doesn't make a good leadership. Throwing teammates under the bus, putting blame on everyone else but yourself, even if it's true, is not good leadership. It's bad for the team. And by the way, Stephen A. said, what if other people talked about Odell? And I said, what if we extended to off the field? And you said, no, not off the field, on the field, because of professionalism. It's not professional to throw your teammates.
I have two questions.
Hold on, wait, let me just say, how did the team respond? That was the best performance of the season.
Because of that?
100%.
Shermer said they handled it in the locker room.
Eli was bad all game until the very end. Odell was trying too hard and made a few mistakes, but the passion, the reach was the reach was exceeding their grasp.
Max, you think that was Odell's agenda, to make his team play better, and he accomplished that?
Yes, and what happened was, look, there are different ways of leading, different styles of leadership. The Giants, Saquon Barkley seemed fine with it. His comments in the locker room, his play on the field. This Giants team, led by their best players, who are clearly and by far Odell Beckham Jr. and Saquon Barkley, may be the kind of team that's a passionate, heart-on-the-sleeve team.
Max, you are really, really big when you can be on pointing to history as a buffering point for your arguments. Well, listen to this. Historically, when wide receivers speak out, it never works for them. It didn't work for T.O. It worked against Randy Moss. It worked against Chris Carter. It worked against a whole bunch of Hall of Famers who never had to concern themselves with it. The Jerry Rices of the world, the Marvin Harrisons of the world, the Tim Browns of the world, and others. Because when you play that receiver position, which is considered the most diva position in the National Football League, it's one of those positions where you can't open your mouth to the degree that Odell Beckham Jr. did and think that it's going to work best for you over the long haul. A Sunday afternoon is not indicative of the kind of impact this could ultimately have on the team.
Fine. We shall see, and it's better if the quarterback is the leader of the team. But when the quarterback
you don't want anybody saying
when
these
the quarterback
types of
can't play as an NFL starter anymore, which, let's be honest, is what we're seeing, then at a certain point it's hard for him to lead the team. Let me ask you this. They just took a one-loss team. They went on the road, and except for a 63-yard field goal, they won the game. Do you think the Giants' performance, the fact that they came back and took a lead with 50 seconds in the game on the road against a very good team, had anything to do with Odell?
Of course, I think it has something to do with Odell because he scored a touchdown. He also, hold on, whoa, wait a minute. It also has something to do with them losing because he messed up on the punt where it ultimately touched him, and it ended up being a touchdown for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, he didn't have a perfect game. Do you understand that since 2016, Odell Beckham Jr. is number 2 in dropped passes? Again, there are things to point to about it. He's got like 16 dropped passes over the last 2 years. Let's keep in mind that it's electrifying. Well, again.
But that's the point. No, the point is he's talking about other people falling short. You want people talking about how he's falling short?
Why do you think he did that interview and sat down with Josina? What was his real agenda?
Well, first of all, I thought Josina Anderson did a hell of a job in asking the kind of questions that people wanted to know. I do think that he was honest about it, and you know, he tries to be an honest guy and answer questions honestly. The problem is that he's only honest about the parts of himself that he wants to be honest about. He wasn't open about the kind of effect he has spent having on this team over the last couple of years with some of his antics. There are guys that could say stuff about him too. And
he didn't say anything about any. He just said he kept it generic on purpose. He's like, we need to play with more heart and more energy. Well, and they did that in this game. Whatever you want to say, they played with more energy.
If you watch Josina Anderson's interview, she asked him very direct questions. So you can't look at just the answer. Sometimes it's how you phrased it and the manner in which you stated it that incriminated some other people, and it was clear what he was doing.
Now, to say this quickly, you can find comments like those from Saquon that liked it, but listen to the overwhelming message from the team. According to Fox's Jay Glazer, Shermer wanted him to apologize. Instead, they're using they are using terms like you said. The locker room handled it. Does that sound like an endorsement of Odell's comments?